And so we get on the plane, and and this woman who I think had a few cocktails.
Probably safe.
I would think so.
Probably, yeah. She goes, she's talking. She's like, "Are you guys basketball players?" And Sherm goes, "Oh no, they're hockey players." He's like, and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's our coach. She's like, "Oh my God, like my grandsons play hockey." And I'm like, "Oh, like, are you a hockey fan?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm a big hockey fan." And I pointed Sherm. I'm like, "You don't know who this is?" She's like, "No, who is?" I was like, "Are you serious?" Like, I was like, "You call yourself a hockey fan?"
Stanley Cup legend.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, he's like the best player to ever play in the NHL. And Jack's like, he's won at least like 5 Stanley Cups. And this woman goes, "Holy shit, you're Bobby Orr." and as soon as she says that, Skis goes, "That's it. That's
the one. That's it.
After the camp, my players and I ran up to him and started doing the gritty. And he got mad.
I'll never forget the face of this cheerleader for the rest of my life.
Have you met the football players? They're the worst guys on campus.
Kid's like, "Yeah, we know blue too," and it's like yelling it out and stuff.
Sometimes he'll be in the hallway just pounding push-ups, going like, "Great morning, gentlemen!"
Right.
You have to use the bleep button a lot.
That might be.
And now a message from our friends at Vibrant who want you to take a semester off.
Okay, I know they're bankers, but they know about NCAA eligibility, right?
Not a semester off from school, a semester off from car payments. Right now, if you take out an auto loan with Vibrant or move your current loan there, you won't owe any interest or need to make a single payment for 120 days.
Well, you know, a used Tesla is only about $50,000.
Just to be clear, you do have to make payments eventually.
But think about how much you'd save on gas.
Get the details at vibrantcreditunion.org/pocketmoney, all one word. Hey Connor, remember when we went to the Kimball Beecher Family Dentistry?
I do. It was a great spot.
They got us out. They got us in and out quick. Very thorough teeth cleaning, and they told me my teeth were amazing.
So they are good at lying as well. But
well, I would hope that. I would hope not.
Well, normally at the dentist, like, you don't get in and out very quick, and like they like got us right in, took care of everything. The nurses were great. The dentist was great that we saw. You know, they have multiple locations, and they take care of you. So we have to shout out the Kimball Beecher Family Dentistry.
Mr. Beecher is the man.
He brought us he's the GOAT.
YERRR! Episode 26. We are back with one of my favorite coaches, SD3, Sherman Douglas Dillard III.
Shermskiis.
Shermskiis.
How many names?
Skis. What other names do we have? Shermskiis,
Skis.
Yeah.
SD3.
SD3.
Yeah.
Sherman Douglas Dillard III, if you want to say all that.
It sounds official when you say the Douglas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Is that really your middle name?
Douglas is my middle name.
Okay.
Yes. I'm just not a third.
Yeah.
You're not the
I'm not a third. No.
But you say that.
But it just sounds, think about how regal it sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sherman Douglas Dillard III.
You sound like you're like a prince.
You're royalty somewhere.
Well, you know what? My mother would call me that, Sherman Douglas, whenever she got upset with me.
Oh, yeah. I get Patrick Dickerson all the
Like
time.
if I spilled the Fruit Loops on the table, she would say, "Sherman Douglas, what's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I don't know why I say it. Sometimes it comes out. I say it officially to people. Sometimes I remember buying a home one time, and I was out in California. I was coaching at Cal Berkeley, and the real estate agent, I kept calling saying I was Sherman Douglas Dillard III. So get this. So she fills out the papers and all that. You got to imagine the paperwork they have to fill out when they do real estate stuff.
Yeah.
She brings it over. We're supposed to sign everything, and I saw Sherman Douglas Dillard III.
On all of it?
On all of it. Like it's like 20 pages. And I go, "Oh, Ann, you put the third down there." She says, "Aren't you the third?" I go, "No, I'm not the third." So the next day we had to come back and redo the signing.
To redo the whole thing.
Absolutely.
It still sounds good though. Where do the other names come from? Like where does like I usually we went to skis from Shermskiis.
Yes.
So now I want to hear like where Shermskiis where that comes from.
Well, it goes back to the genesis of it and the way the team knows about it. We were at your home at Coach McCaffery's house, and we were playing ping pong, and I happened to be playing against Ash.
Yeah.
Austin Ash, and I fancy myself a pretty decent ping pong player, table tennis player. table tennis sounds better than ping pong for some reason.
Yeah.
It seems more sophisticated.
Yeah.
But at any rate, so I'm playing, and the group is around, everybody, all the players around the table watching us play. And I get off to a good start, but then I'm down sort of like 17-11 to Ash. And I have this thing, and I've been doing it all my life. When I play basketball, when I play racquetball or tennis, I have this alter ego. I start talking to myself, and I go, Shermskiis. And I said it. That was the first time the group heard it. I go, come on, Shermskiis. And everybody just busted out laughing. And then I guess it morphed into skis.
Yep.
And now everybody calls me skis. So I still do it now, even when I'm playing golf. If I hit a bad shot, I just talk to myself, and it's a way to kind of wind myself back in.
Do you have a favorite nickname?
I like skis. I
like
really do.
skis?
Yeah, skis when you put the two fingers. Yes, I like that. And I don't mind it. Here's the thing. I guess I can say this. I think I've been the oldest guy on the staff for 13 years. And the majority of the players call me by my first name.
Yeah.
Or they call me Skis, or they call me SD3, you know. And so I don't mind it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I think it makes me relatable, if you will. Mm-hmm. So I enjoy that. And some of the recruits, I guess, should I say this? I can't say this. One of our players' brother, we're recruiting,
Mm-hmm.
and he calls me Sherm.
He calls you Sherm.
He just calls me Sherm. Hey, Sherm, what's up, Sherm? Like, it is so cool. I think some people would say, you know, please call me Coach Dillard or Mr. Dillard.
Yeah.
No, I'm not on the ego trip whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think the twins call Dad Fran.
Yeah.
The twins.
Keegan calls him Fran.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That sounds weird.
I think Chris
does.
does it, but Keegan definitely calls him Fran.
That's, wow. It's okay. It's all good.
It's about comfortability, I think.
Exactly.
It's, you know, and relatability. If you feel like, and if as long as it doesn't bother you, like, you know, you feel like we feel comfortable enough to the point to just call you Skis.
Yeah.
You know, Skis.
How important, like, would you see like that relatability is like how important would you say that is in coaching? Like the relatability, the connections. Like I feel like that outweighs all of the X's and O's stuff. But what's your take on that?
I think it's big. I think it's huge. And you know, I started coaching. I was 23 years old. My first college coaching job at the University of Maryland. Very much like Courtney. You know, I could still play, and you know, the guys called me by first name then, and I think I was able to. They saw me on their level, if you will. Yet, because of my playing ability and proficiency at the game, they respected what I had to do. And when I started doing scouting reports, I think as long as you can carry yourself in an adult way and present yourself in a professional manner, it doesn't matter what people call you. And I think the players feel more comfortable approaching me. At least I hope so. So I think it's worked well for me over the years. It's been terrific.
Yeah. I've heard that, listened to a lot of podcasts, especially as it relates to NBA coaching in the NBA and dealing with pros, which I want to talk to you about because I know you've done a lot of that too when you worked with Nike. So we're gonna get back to that. But they say that like I'm like over like almost 75% of coaching in the NBA is like managing relationships and personalities and mixing egos and making sure like that is the most important part of the job.
And like 15 of it's your ATOs.
And then like the other part of it is like ATOs and game planning. But like way more is all about managing relationships, blending personalities.
I have a lot of friends in the NBA, and you're so right. They talk about that all the time. And when you're in a sport, in an arena where most of the players are making more money than the coaches.
Right.
So you have to find a way to relate to those players on their level in a certain sense, yet be able to garner the respect that you need to have to be able to coach them up to the optimum level. And I think it's a trait that most coaches have to have. I think you have to be able to have an interpersonal relationship with each and every player on your team, be able to relate to those guys. They got to see you as, you know, human like them, and, you know, you walk in their same shoes, exactly. So something like that. But I think it has to be you get closer because I'm not saying you can goof around. I don't know some of the rap songs the guys listen to, and I can't get on that level with them. But I think you'll have to be approachable. Right? And I've been in situations before, and I've witnessed situations before where I could sense that coaches weren't on the same page with their players. And I think if you aren't on the same page with your players, I think it becomes a dysfunctional group. in no way you can have a championship caliber team.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Really, and that, I mean, now that you mention it, you're talking about a championship team. I felt like our team last year was like a good example of a team that was connected, as we talked about before. And I'm just curious, as you've been coaching with a lot of teams, coached a lot of players, been around great players, bad players, good teams, bad teams. But is there one particular thing that stood out with last year's team to you?
I think with every team, you know, you're going to have a couple guys that may be the star of the team, maybe in terms of point production, if you will. I shy away from saying you have to have role players, but what I think you have to have, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, right? So everybody has to fit in, know their role, without it having to be forced on you.
Yeah.
And I thought the team last year did exactly that. I thought everybody knew their role, they stuck to that role, and they all played with a common purpose, and that was just to win basketball games. I don't think I've ever been around, guys, a team that was as close-knit as the team we had last season. And I'm not disrespecting other teams I've coached, because I've coached a lot of good teams. But it was, I marveled at how we fought through adversity together, how the team, I think we're led by the team. You know, you talked about the NBA thing, how it's a player-driven team. I think in a lot of ways, Coach McCaffery is obviously the CEO, and he's definitely in charge. But I think if the players aren't bought in and sold on that, and I think a lot of that is credited to you two guys. I think the way you take coaching, and I think at times Coach McCaffery's on you guys harder than he is on other players. And I think the beauty of coaching is getting a group of people together from different walks of life, different socio-economic backgrounds, and put them together and have them buy into the same system and all be on the same mission. And I felt it. You know, I think a lot of times at the beginning of the season, we're not 100% sure what's going to happen or how good we can be. And I think Coach Speak, he always said, we're going to be really good.
Yeah.
We're going to be really good.
Yeah.
But do we really know that? You know, do we really know that? But I think we can go back to the pandemic year when we were kind of quarantined and isolated. I think because of that, we became closer as a team. You know, being together and, you know, in Carver in the morning for breakfast, watching film, coming back again, having practice, maybe coming back at night. And it's just us. It was sort of like us against the world, if you will. And I think that carried over to the last year where we had that bond, that tightness that you need. And everybody fighting for the same thing. And it was a joy to watch. It really was. And Coach says this all the time. Coach McCaffery says this all the time, that we have a group of high-character kids and high-character young men and easy to coach. And you guys have always been easy to coach. I think, you know, we don't have issues with trying to coach players, you know, and having one-on-one talks with guys trying to convince them that this is what you have to do or this is your role. They have some of that, maybe, but not a great deal of it. And I think it was such smooth sailing, if you will.
Yeah.
And the games we won, you know, and I think the highlight of the season obviously was the fourth straight wins in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
You know, that was amazing.
That was a grind.
Yeah, it was a grind. We stepped up to it, and we met every challenge, and we won a Big Ten championship. And it's a credit to you guys and how much you guys work. And people don't know. I think this is one thing I don't know if you guys have talked about this before, but, you know, I think sometimes non-athletes or people that don't play the game don't realize how much is involved in the preparation, the practice, the film study, the scouting reports that you guys go through on a day-to-day basis, okay? It could be a grind, as Patrick said. And to be able to fight through that and yet still be able to do your work academically and go to class and do those things, it's a challenge. And I think it takes a great deal of mental toughness to be able to fight through all of that and be able to get out on the court and deal with the fans and the criticism and the scrutiny and still be able to put together a great performance and win games and win championships.
Yeah, no, I 100%. couldn't have said it better. I want to go from that and use it because we got to talk about the pregame talks.
That's
but,
what I was.
And
Yep.
also, and
That's what I
also
wanted.
the postgame talks and some of the Shermizums, if you will.
Skizisms. I thought we called them.
Shermizums. I don't know, but that Patrick, I know you had some.
Well, like your post game talks, it always starts like there was the one this year. I forget which game it was, but you're like, all right, you're on hole one of Finkbine.
Yeah.
First drive into the woods. He's like, and you're like, first drive into the woods. It might have been Minnesota at home. The game my dad had COVID. I think it might have been that one.
No, your dad was there. Because I remember I always look at him to see how I try to get his reaction, and if he's saying, Sherm, will you shut the F up?
Okay.
Like, where are you going with this, Sherm? But no, he was there, and I forget the game. And I have to be honest with you. It's like 5 minutes before I get up to do that talk, something hits me.
Yeah.
And then I thought, guys are playing a lot of golf. And I just thought, you know what? And I think it was a Michigan game.
Yeah,
it probably
was.
It was a
your
Michigan
scout.
game. And I said, one of the things, it's going to be a game of runs. And then we got to fight through those runs. And so I thought the analogy would be golf.
It made sense because you're like, when you hit the first one in the woods, he's like, but you still got to, either you can play it or you drop it, and then he's like, and then you got to hit the next one on the green.
Yeah, so you bogey that hole. Then the next hole, number 2, now you get a double bogey. Now you're 3 strokes back already. And now you continue to play, and then you get to hole number 7, and then you par a hole. And I kept going with that, and I said, now you got a birdie. And all of a sudden, you end up shooting like a 72 or something like that. So you don't quit because you got off to a bad start. That's the point I was trying to drive home.
That's where you were going with that. Yeah, exactly.
And so I look around the room, and I'm trying to get a feel for, you got to know your audience, right? You got to know the room. And I'm thinking probably 70% of these guys do play golf, so they get it.
Yeah.
Now, Tony Perkins had no idea what it was. Tony was like, what the freak is
What is Coach doing?
like, where's he going with this? But I remember one I talked about Mount Everett, climbing Mount Everett.
Yep.
And I say, you got stage 1, stage 2, and then you finally get to the peak, and the different amount of energy and mental toughness it takes to climb them. So I don't know. I always believe you have to have a story, and I think if you have a story, you guys remember that. Like, if I just got up and said, A, B, C, but by giving a little story and something to it like that, I think it helps you remember it.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome, and it's kind of like now we'll get way different pregame speeches because basically the way it works is it's whoever the assistant, whoever for the audience who doesn't know, whoever the scout, the assistant who has the scout gets the opportunity to talk before they go back over the game plan and everything. They get to talk before. Sometimes, like, Coach Spiro would just get right into it. Yeah. Like, come on, guys, big game. All right, starting with here, this guy.
Coach Spiro, he gives some talks, though.
Coach Spiro definitely would give some talks. Coach Taylor was usually, like, pretty down to business. Right. Yeah, but and then I always appreciate Shermskis because he always has some sort of story or something to go along with it. Like you're like, close your eyes and take a deep breath and think about whatever. And I always appreciated those because it's like gives you a distraction from everything that's about to go on. Gives you something else to think about.
But you recall one time I got up and I did the Coach Spiro thing. I said, hey guys, let's make the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
And we jump right into it. So I think what happens is the season's long. And I think you have to be creative in how you present certain things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's mine.
Because the film sessions day after day after day, and then the pre-games every day after day after day, all that stuff. It all runs the same. So every time we get a little mix of something, it's always great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My favorite all time was the one that still sticks with me today at Indiana, and we can blank this out, but you said we got to be Un-F-WITHABLE. Un-F-WITHABLE.
Yes.
And that's got to be our attitude.
I think we have to blank that out.
We probably got to blank it out.
Un-F-WITHABLE, right?
Un-F-WITHABLE.
Yeah.
And
I saw the look on your face. You guys looked at me like, what? Like I had 3 heads. And again, that was spontaneous. It was just, I'm trying to figure out a way to reach you. And coincidentally, I think I just read a book by...
it was about a book. That's what it was.
It was out of Jeff Bezos. Mm-hmm. Jeff, the CEO or owner of Amazon, a billionaire.
Yep.
I just read his book, and so that's where I get a lot of stuff from. Obviously, you guys see me; I read a lot, and I always have a Kindle, and so I just take things from what I read, and I think this is a great moment to share it with the team.
Yeah. you definitely do read a lot, and we wanted to cover that.
Yeah, we want to talk about
that too. I mean, you're definitely, I mean, obviously you're well read, but and then you talk. You already said you get most of the talk, some of the talks and stuff you'll go over. You get it from books, but you're. I mean, I would say you're very wise. Like you have a wealth
sage,
of knowledge.
right?
You have a wealth of knowledge that just is upon you. That you just, you're constantly just reading it down to us or reading about whatever.
Which creates like a really creates a really interesting perspective.
Yeah.
It's all about how you look at things.
Yeah. I have a saying, I know what I know, I want to know what you know.
Yeah.
And basically that's why I read. And I read a broad array of things. It could be nonfiction, it could be fiction, it could be biography. When Bill Russell passed, I wanted to go right back and I read his memoirs. When Sidney Poitier, the great actor, died, I went right back and I'd already read that book, but I read it again just for clarity's sake. And I think my wife gave me a book. Obviously in college you read a lot, obviously because you have to read.
Yeah.
So the only thing I read was things I had to read, except when I was in high school and we had advanced composition. So I did go to school and I did do well in school. I know you guys don't believe that, but I was pretty,
I believe it.
I was a pretty good student.
I believe it.
But at any rate, but after college, I said, you know what, I've had enough of reading, and I had a birthday and she gave me a book. It was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And I sat at my nightstand for the longest time, and I said, I got to read this book. And I read it. It's one of the best books I've ever read. And so I got into reading at that point, and I remember coaching at Cal Berkeley, and one of the star players we had was Kevin Johnson. And I started giving that book out as gifts to seniors that graduated. So I gave my first one I gave to Kevin Johnson. So I don't know, I've been a reader ever since. And then thankfully, when the Kindle came out, all right, Amazon came out with the Kindle, and I said, by God, I've never read something in some kind. I need a book. I want to be able to open the book up and smell it, and flip the pages and underline. And finally, I made the transition to reading a Kindle, and now I just go like nonstop. Always, before I finish one book, I get to 95%, I make sure I order another one so I can have another one to read after that. And so I think it's all about, like I said, I know what I know, but I want to know what you know, and some of it is educational, but some of it is just pure entertainment, And I told you, I just read the book Swim by the guy Walter Bond, and I think he came here to spoke. You guys listened to him, and I got something out of that book. It's a parable, a fable. It's kind of, it's not really deep, if you will, but there's a lot of deep messages in there.
Right.
I know that sounds contradictory, but so I got into reading, and I enjoy reading it. And in fact, sometimes I enjoy reading more so than watching a movie.
Really?
Times. And oftentimes when I read and I want to see the movie comes out, the book is better than the movie.
I feel like that's always the case.
That's what especially people who read the book, they always say that, right?
Yeah, it is. I think the book can give you more detailed, descriptive. You can imagine yourself there when I read the book, and that's what you have to empathize. You have to put yourself in that book, and I've always, I don't know, I've been doing it all along. Some people may look at me as a nerd because I always have a book open. I know you guys, you probably say, here's Skis again, he's got a book out.
Well, with the Kindle, it looks more like an iPad or something. You can't really tell. So it's like if you just look on the glance, you get the case over it.
The only shortcoming of reading the Kindle, I may have shared this with you before, the only thing with a Kindle is like, when you open it up, when you click on it, it just goes to the page that you stop reading on, right? So oftentimes I can't remember the title of the book I'm reading. Someone said, "Coach, what are you reading?" I'm like, "Oh shoot, I'm not sure."
I don't know.
Yeah, but nonetheless, it's good. It's all good. Yeah.
If you quit out of it, does it then lose your page, like to see like what you are reading, or? No, it always goes right back to the same page. It's the best invention ever. The Kindle.
I shouldn't say
that's
that.
Your favorite?
I think the will was the most important thing. but because you can carry so many books in this little gadget, Think about this, and there are times I could be reading 2 or 3 books at a time,
right?
Because I'm reading fiction, then I say, you know what, I want to get, back into something, and more educational, if you will. So I get back into that book, so I can flip back and forth. I do miss, you can underline in those Kindles, but it's not the same,
Right.
Like when you get the highlighter and all of that stuff. So, I don't know. Reading's good for you. I think it's,
Yeah. No.
You guys read, do you guys read leisurely, just on the,
I should read more, but I don't.
yeah.
I should. My grandpa's been trying to get me to read more. He always sends me books, there's like so many books that like I think would be interesting that like I would want to read. Like somebody I know just sent me another book. It's called like Den of Thieves, I think it was called. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
There's like so many books that I would like actually like. Oh well, tell me about like when they tell me about them. I'm like I'd read that, and then like I just never ever get around to it. So I got to try to figure that out and start to try to read more.
The last book I read was, most recent one was The Lincoln Highway. It's a good book. Yeah. And Swim, I told you I just read that one. Yes. And I don't know. I can't say what genre I like the best. It's just that I just get on Amazon or I Google, top books, and I'll go down the list and I say, I like that book and I'm going to read it. And a lot of times I just want to get educated, and doing the whole, I don't know what they call it, the racial discard that was going on in America. I wanted to become more educated on, because I wanted to be able to speak coherently about what was going on. So I spent a year just reading books on that,
Yeah, I read a couple books in that time too. They were same thing.
Just to get a feel for the pulse of the world and just so I'm more educated as to how I can speak coherently about it. So
yeah. Did you ever read When Affirmative Action Was White?
No, I did not.
That's
enlighten me.
It's a really good book. I had to read it for a class, but I really enjoyed it. And this is a book that I would recommend to everybody. But it talks about when affirmative action was white. That's what they're saying. But it talks about when soldiers returned from war, World War One. I think I should know the difference. But it talks about how difficult it was for the black soldiers who returned to receive the same benefits as all the white soldiers, because the New Deal had all of these perks that came with what if you did fight in war and then you came back, you were supposed to receive all these perks. Well, they left these perks up to banks who then didn't trust the black soldiers because they didn't think they would be paid back. You had to be approved for home loans. Well, the realtor companies wouldn't approve the black soldiers the same rate that they were approving. It's very interesting. It gets into a lot, and I would recommend.
Sounds frustrating.
It is.
Sounds
it's not like a light read, but
I'd read that and want to hit something.
I could give it to you if you want to. Just still have it.
I would love to read that.
Yeah.
No doubt.
It's a good one.
I know what I know. I want to know what you know.
Yeah.
That's my mindset, and so.
Yeah. There you have it.
Reading's good. I grew up thinking that I saw a kid reading a book with glasses on. I thought he was a nerd. I shouldn't stereotype. But information is valuable.
Very valuable.
Yeah. And it's also good just to clear your mind. I wish I could say I read everything just to learn something, but sometimes it's just for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
Just read and I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to continue to do that.
I got a couple of books I'm gonna give you, and I want a couple in return. So
okay.
we'll do that.
I can't give you my Kindle. They all locked
no,
in my Kindle.
that's true. Just give me the recommendation, and we'll go from there.
I can't remember the last time I bought a hardback book, though. What was it? Oh. No, one Cindy Portier book. I traveled once, and somehow I forgot my Kindle, which is a no-no.
That's rare.
I left my Kindle, and so I had to buy a book, and I bought Cindy Portier's biography. Yeah. So that was a hardback, but I don't deal with hardbacks anymore.
Okay. Well, I'll get you a couple.
Yeah.
We'll go from there.
But hardbacks are great because you can feel it and touch it.
Yeah. It's like a real book.
It's a real book. Yes.
Yeah.
But technology's gone. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, definitely. All right, we're gonna take a quick break on that note. We'll be right back after this. A night out at El Rey's is a great time because you got the live music in the front, which is usually like some country vibes, a little bit, but you can go to the back and then it's like a nightclub type atmosphere. So like you get the best of both worlds from both sides. And bartenders take care of you. It's a good spot. We know some bouncers there. Great dudes. Yeah. Shout out Loudon. And the owner is also a phenomenal guy. So
based on the lines, you would think that the music is unbelievable, which it is. So I highly suggest that everybody goes to El Rey's.
It's packed all the time.
Now, from our friends at McDonald Optical. If Mr. McDonald is nearly as feisty as he was on the sidelines watching 8 through 10-year-old Jack and his son Nolan, that means if you go to his eye doctor place, you got to be in pretty good. You got to be in good shape. He's gonna take care of you.
Yeah, he's gonna take care. If you're having any issues with your optics, you got to go to McDonald Optical because he's definitely gonna look after you. He's got the solution for whatever your problem might be, and no, great people over there, 100%.
And take care of you.
Yeah, without a doubt.
We are back, episode 26 of Teed Up with SD3 Skis, Sherman Douglas Dillard III. Skis, I got to talk about this spring when I was at a basketball tournament with Jack. Parents couldn't go, so I got sent, and I was with Jack. We were in Spartanburg, South Carolina. It's Sunday. Jack's team, they won on Sunday, but they was a bad weekend, but they won Sunday, so it was not a horrible note. We go to the airport. And there you are on our flight, because that's where the Adidas Gauntlet was in Spartanburg. So Skis on our flight to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to Cedar Rapids. So I was with Skis for a while. And I remember, this is another one of my favorite Skis quotes. I actually had to write this one down. This is a quote, and then we're going to get into the story. But the first quote was, these two people at our gate, or at the gate next to us, were like screaming at each other. Like it was this like crazy, and Skis just goes, "Not my monkeys, not my circus." meaning like that's not my business.
Not my problem.
That's got nothing to do with me. Yeah. He said, "Not my monkeys, not my circus." I wrote it down. I was like, that's unbelievable. Yeah. Not my monkeys, not my circus. I wrote it down. I was like, that's awesome. But another story I wanted to hit on from that day was when we were boarding our flight back to Cedar Rapids. It was me and Jack and Skis. So Jack and I both are pretty tall. So everywhere we go, that you get the like, oh, are you a basketball player, whatever, right? And so we get on the plane, and and this woman who I think had a few cocktails,
probably safe.
I would think so.
Probably, yeah. She goes, she's talking. She's like, "Are you guys basketball players?" And Sherm goes, "Oh no, they're hockey players." He's like, and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's our coach. She's like, "Oh my God, like my grandsons play hockey." And I'm like, "Oh, like, are you a hockey fan?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm a big hockey fan." And I pointed Sherman. I'm like, "You don't know who this is?" She's like, "No, who is?" I was like, "Are you serious?" Like, I was like, "You call yourself a hockey fan?"
Stanley Cup legend.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, he's like the best player to ever play in the NHL. And Jack's like, he's won at least like 5 Stanley Cups. And this woman goes, "Holy shit, you're Bobby Orr." and as soon as she says that, Skis goes, "That's it.
That's the one. That's it."
And we're like, "How did you not know that?" She's like, "I can't believe it took me so long." And we're like, I have no idea who Bobby Orr is. No idea. I look it up. He was an unbelievable hockey player, but he's dead and he was white.
He's a dead white guy.
He's a dead white guy.
He's a dead white guy.
Unbelievable hockey player, but he's a dead white guy. So I'm like, what planet is this woman on? Like,
she had no idea.
And that stuff comes to me like that quickly. I had no idea that all of a sudden when she said that, I had, Bobby Orr, that's it. You got it. Bingo.
That's me.
And she's like, "How did I not know this?" And we're like,
that was so funny. Oh boy,
I love because like we just rolled with it, like we rolled with it. I kind of took the lead, and then you started with the hockey players, and then we just kind of rolled, and it was
a full skit.
Oh my God,
full skit.
She fell for it.
She bit the hook.
Oh,
she bit.
What do they say? Line, bait, and sinker.
Line, bait, and sinker.
Sinker. We got her.
We gotta clip that. We need that story.
That was funny.
Philip bothers me because like when I'm in public with Philip and people will come up to us, like we were in Insomnia the other day. These girls like, "How tall are you guys?" And he's like, oh, like I'm 6'9", and I'll be like, oh, like I'm 6'4". Me and Philip are the same height. We're the same height. So I'm like,
oh, really?
So I'm like, I'm 6'4", and they're like, oh, you're not 6'4". I'm like, eh. And Philip's like, he's lying. He's 6'9". I'm like, Philip, shut up. You got to go along with it. And that actually happened, like not that specific situation, but like that happens a lot where like I'll say something and he doesn't go along with it, and it makes me mad. Joe T was the best at that. We'd roll with it. It was just like that. It's awesome.
It's funny.
Bobby Orr, that's it.
Bobby Orr, that's it. We got it. I want to get it. Like, you do say things like flying off the cuff like that. Like,
and I have no idea where it comes from. It's, maybe I don't know. It's just I'm not trying to be funny. It just happens. Oh my.
Let's talk about the Shermizums then, because like you said,
like not my monkeys, not my circus.
Yeah, we were talking about it in the break. You have a million of them, and you said some of them you don't even remember.
You guys just reminded me of some of them, and to your point, I think certain things trigger a quote or something like that, and all of a sudden it just comes out.
Right.
But you guys, go ahead, Patrick. Give me one. Give me a.
Well,
Sherman.
no matter where you go, that's where you are.
Yeah.
That's
no matter where you go, there you are. Yep.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, there you are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's like, I think you use that one a lot with people who transfer. No matter where you go, there you are.
Always looking for greener pastures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Grass isn't always greener,
Grass
man.
isn't always
Sleep nights is a good one. Like if
nights.
like football's up there messing with the thing and it's not working. Sleep nights football, that implies that you're wasting time, or like that you're running behind. Like when I was grabbing a water before I came in here, and I got to sleep nights.
Got to sleep nights.
What's another one?
You're standing there like a cigar store Indian.
See, but you have to be careful with that one, because it's politically incorrect now. So
Yeah.
But you know what a
I know
cigar
it.
store
Yeah,
Indian
like
looks like.
there's the big things that just they're big wooden pieces.
Typically at tobacco stores,
Yeah.
and they always have them sitting out on the corner. If you go to Arizona, Phoenix, or whatever, and they have them on the sidewalk there, and they can't play defense. They can't move.
No, they can't move. So if you can't play defense, you're
So I have to be a little bit careful because it's politically incorrect.
Nothing works unless you work.
Nothing.
Yep.
You know what's amazing? As I'm sitting here listening to you guys, a lot of times you don't know what registers, like what you get.
Yeah.
But you guys get it. But sometimes you're looking at me like I got three heads when I'm saying this stuff. You're like, where the freak did that come from? But I don't know. Over the course of years, it just...
I don't think you give us enough credit for how much we're listening to.
I know.
Like
make the main thing the main thing. That's
that's
probably your
one.
favorite one. Make the main thing your main thing. Main thing.
Yes. And I have this way where it just sometimes it speaks to whatever's going on at that particular time.
Oh, yeah.
Like when people leave and travel abroad or go somewhere else and they're trying to change their ways, if you will. Everywhere you go, there you are.
Exactly.
I mean, right. I mean, guys transferring schools, the same thing is there. You're still there. You're still a part of it. So I found a way, I think the way to connect with people is I come up with these lines that speaks to that thing, and you can see it so clear.
There's one for every situation, too. You always have one.
We haven't said my favorite yet.
Which one?
You know my favorite.
Make the main thing the main thing?
No. There's a basketball game going on. There's a basketball game going on.
You know what? And some of the best ones are the simplest ones, right? Think about
Exactly.
it. We're playing basketball, but there's a game going on. Within that game, there's all kinds of intricacies, but you have to say a basketball game's going on. There's a game going on.
There's a game, coach. That's my favorite. I feel like I say that to you quite a bit too.
Oh yeah, you do. I don't know. It's just a way of quick communicating, and it's sort of like you see something, you say it, and I don't know. It's been fun for me, and I didn't know you guys had registered with you guys as much.
It's important because it kind of connects, because there's always something broader, right? There's always
think about it.
There's always a reason you say what you say, so it's an easier way to think about the situation that just happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like it's always something bigger. So that's why I think it registers, because it helps you remember certain things.
Absolutely. I don't know. I got into it early in my. I even did it. I had a college coach that did a lot of that too, and I don't know. I guess from reading, you build up some things, and I think it's important to be able to get a point across sometimes without having to write a dissertation.
Right.
So, and certain things, catchphrases, sort of like when companies have these catchphrases that if you say that catchphrase, it registers, right? And I think that's my way of communicating sometime and hoping that you get the point. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed. But
always.
It's been something with me for, I don't know, ever since I've been coaching. I still do it with everything.
I love it. All right.
Now, kind of pivoting, I want to talk about. Is there some? I was going to talk about Nike. Is there?
I want to talk about the fashion.
Oh, we could do
I want
that.
to talk about
the bow tie.
The bow tie.
Bow tie. You are known as you're known worldwide. I think for the bow tie, the suits, the glasses with the everything, just all of the above. The shoes,
The watch.
You got the fits, the watches. Like where did this come from, and like where's it going? Like, do we have anything to look forward to this season? Like something new or what?
Well, we're not wearing suits anymore.
I know. I want to ask: were you happy with that, or do you mind, or what's your opinion on that?
I don't mind. I just have I'm embarrassed to say this, but I have a wardrobe of suits that I'm not wearing.
Right.
Except when I go to a wedding,
Right.
Lisa's wedding, I had on a suit. Gave me an opportunity to put on a suit. By the way, you outdressed me that day, so I was a little bit disappointed. the shoes, I got the shoes.
The
by
shoes.
The way. I
You
like
got
the
them?
shoes. I tried to get them, but they wouldn't fit.
The sizes aren't great.
No.
Yeah.
But for those of you who want to know, that he has these shoes on, and I went and looked at the price of them. And I said, whoa, I got to get a bonus. Fran's got to give me some kind of bonus to be able to pay for these free.
They were a birthday present.
Yeah.
They were a birthday present.
Okay, all right.
Graduation,
As
birthday.
Denzel would say, okay, all right.
all right.
I don't know. I don't think the public knows this, and I don't know if I should use this as a meeting. I don't know. I grew up destitute, dirt poor. They have a saying, grew up without a pot to pee in, kind of like that.
Yeah.
And just so you know, the history is like really poor people sometimes could sell their urine for money because they used the urine for certain other things, like getting hides of skin off of an animal. So it means that you're really poor. So I don't know. I don't know. I started working at the University of Maryland, and Lefty Driesell was the boss there. And Lefty, people don't realize this about Coach Driesell. He was a really nice dresser. Like he fancies himself a big-time dresser. So that's when I learned about clothing. And he'd be wearing cashmere sport coats and alligator shoes and crocodile belts and all of that stuff. So, and I didn't want to sit on the bench with him and look like, and no disrespect to J.C. Penney, but having a polyester suit on. So I don't know. It started back then, and I don't know. I don't like to talk about it because I want to be noted for my basketball, my recruiting prowess, my ability to coach, my ability to relate with players. And one thing, I think it got to the point where my dress code overshadowed who I was as a person.
So you didn't like it as much. You felt like you didn't like the attention, like.
Not for that reason. And I think an article came out maybe 2 years ago, maybe longer than that. It was right around Christmas time, and the local paper kept hounding me and wanted to do a story. For 3 or 4 years, I decided, I said, no, I wouldn't. I would tell Matt Weitzel, no, I don't want to talk about my dress code.
Yeah.
And I finally relented and said, okay, I want a story about who I am and my background and what I bring to the table. And I said, if you want to throw in my dress code, we can talk about that a little bit. So I acquiesced and gave in, and then they did the article and talked about it. But I'm embarrassed by it, quite frankly, because, again, I want to be noted for who I am as a person, as a coach, and what I bring to the table other than just the suit I wear.
Right.
Yeah, it just happens. I don't know. I get embarrassed by it because I just, I grew up destitute, and so we basically had to wear 2 outfits a week for the week. So you wore an outfit Monday, Tuesday, and then you had an outfit you wore Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to school. But my mother always made sure it was clean, it was neat, it was pretty nice stuff. And so I think I just carried that over, and I think it's all about presentation and how you look in public, and sometimes you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yeah.
And so, but I do get embarrassed by it when people talk about my dress code all the time, and I think that's more to Sherman Dillard III than how I dress.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me a little bit sad. Wait a minute, I've been coaching for almost 40 years. I made a decent career out of this, and I've been a head coach. but people want to talk about my dress code.
Yeah.
Like you guys are doing right now.
Yeah.
But it's a part of who I am, so I can't run away from it. You know,
we just take tips from you, but we don't. We don't know. We normally don't talk about it. But if I see like, oh, coach, like those shoes. Like the other day, you're nice enough to give me those golf shoes that were unreal. 12s. They were unreal. So you got style, and so I'm constantly trying to. We don't talk about it, but I'm taking tips from you.
Well, you know what? I have noticed. It's not lost on me when I see you guys dressed up, and I'm thinking, wow. And I go back to when I was in college and how I tried to dress, and I thought I had these polyester suits on, these freaking Baswegian shoes, and I thought I was clean. Yeah. I said, I'm sharp. And now to see how you guys dress, and I think it's, a lot of times, you guys are clean, sharp.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys on the team are like that. And I think, I noticed your shoes the other day at Weeze's wedding, and I'm thinking, wow. So what do? I'm embarrassed to say this. I went and Googled those shoes.
Look for the shoes. Like, we're shoe guys. We're shoe. Me and you were shoe guys.
I said those shoes are dope. You notice I used the word dope.
Dope. So yeah. He's hip. He's hip.
But anyway, and I thought when I saw the price tag on those shoes, I was like, uh-oh. I gotta wait till the camp check comes in.
When the camp check hits, then you got them.
It's all good and done. But again, the only thing I was always concerned about with that is just I want to be judged by, I hate to sound like Martin Luther King, the content of my character, not by how I dress.
I had a dream.
Yeah.
That's the only thing sometimes, and I think as long as people understand that it's more to meet the eye than just my suit or my necktie or
absolutely.
that kind of thing. The bow tie got, quite frankly, when I coached at the University of Maryland, I wore the bow tie. That was back in the 80s. I'm dating myself. And I wore it for a few games and kind of liked it a little bit, but I got away from it. And I don't know why, a few years here, somebody from the East Coast said, Sherm, you're not wearing a bow tie anymore. Mm-hmm. So I decided to wear one to a game, and then somehow it just took off. And people on Twitter would say, I like the bow tie, Sherm in the bow tie, skis in the bow tie. And then I had a gentleman that shipped me like a box of bow ties.
Nice ones too, probably. Right?
I got to be afraid. NCAA, could the NCAA get me for a gift like that?
No. They can only get us.
They can
get us, not you.
So anyway, I started wearing the bow tie, and then it got to the point if I didn't wear a bow tie one game, I was getting killed on social media, Twitter. Like, where's the bow tie? We missed the bow tie. So anyway, that thing just carried on and became something that, and I'm not consciously thinking about it. I got to wear a bow tie. I got to do this or that. But it did become something, and I didn't want to disappoint the fans, so I wore it for a while. And now we got the casual look.
Yeah.
So a lot of friends, I bet you miss the suits and you miss dressing up. And I do enjoy dressing up. I think it's part of being a gentleman. You get dressed, you put on a nice starched shirt, nice tie, great shoes. But I enjoy the casual athleisure look now. And you only take a duffel bag.
Right.
And typically, you don't even have to press it or iron it, Like you guys don't know anything about ironing your clothes or steaming your clothes, but I steam my clothes. I was so persnickety at one time, I would get a dress shirt out of the cleaners that was starched, and I would still iron it because it had those little lines on it. I hated lines. But anyway, I like the casual look now.
Yeah.
I've gotten to like the casuals. It's so much easier to...
Easier travel.
Travel.
Makes it way easier for me to be on time for the bus.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't got to tie your tie.
Then when you got, because when I used to have to get ready, because it'd take me forever to put my suit on, everything, and it would take me I'd have to get ready 45 minutes before we got to get on the bus. So I got to shower and do all that kind of stuff. Now I can just shower, throw my jersey on, throw the suit on, the sweatsuit on, and we're rolling.
It's so much easier, and and I've been with head coaches before that made us wear a coat and tie on the road. And when I was at James Madison back in the day when I played there, we would travel in vans. You guys have it so good. You have private planes and all of this stuff, Marriott hotels, eating. But anyway, and our guy, we would travel in vans, drive for 3-4 hours, and have to have on a coat and tie. Oof. So stupid me, when I became a head coach, I'm the head coach at Indiana State, my first head coaching job, I got my guys, they have to wear a coat and tie. By golly, you're going to put on a coat and tie. And as I reflect on it, if I think back on it, how stupid was that?
It's uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable.
Oh, it's uncomfortable.
But it's all about image. It's all about perception. And so when you walk in the arena, we want our fans to look at you and say, oh, they look awfully sharp. But to me, I think they look sharper with everybody's uniform and everybody has on a warm-up suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, corresponding warm-up suit. So I think, times have changed, and you know where we're going with this and the way it's going to stay. NBA people are still going casual.
Mm-hmm.
NBA coaches are still going casual.
Yep.
And I know I've had conversations with your father, and he likes the casual look, and I think it's here to stay. I really do. I'm going to have a fire sale, though, with all my suits. And, I'm trying to decide what's the best way to do that, but no, I'm going to keep them. Hold on. You never know. One day I may have to wear those suits again.
You still wear them. Still wear some of them.
Yeah.
Never know.
Absolutely.
Right.
Now, pivot again. So you coached for 40 years, you said. I kind of wanted to talk about your time, though, not coaching, where you were working at Nike, and you got to, well, I guess I'll let you explain kind of what your situation was with Nike and kind of your job description and kind of all the stuff that you did and some stories that go along with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got involved with Nike. It's a funny story. I had been the head coach at James Madison University. Lost my job there, I can say that. So I'm out of a job, but my wife kept telling me, don't say you're out of a job, say you're in transition. It just sounds better. I'm in transition. So I was in transition to the next job opportunity. And every year I would go to the NBA Combine in Chicago just to pick up notes, just to network and rub shoulders with other coaches. And I walk in the gym, and I'm in the gym 5 minutes. Moody Bible School is what it was called. And a guy who's a big Iowa fan and worked here, Scott Howard. I don't know if you know the name, but Scott Howard grabs me, and he looks at me and he goes, "You would be perfect." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "You would be perfect for the job." And I said, "What job are you talking about?" He said, "Nike." He said, "George Raveling just got a promotion. He's going to be traveling abroad, and he needs someone to run the camps, the Nike All-American Camp and all the camps that George Raveling used to run." And he says, "You would be perfect." He says, "I'm going to call George." So he called George, and he comes back 15 minutes later. He said, "The job is yours." So that's how he said, "The job is yours." And I said, "Wait,
there you go.
I didn't even have an interview.
Nothing.
No resume.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And I thought, gee whiz, I just came here just to watch some basketball, pick up some drills, and and network. I guess that's the purpose of networking, is to meet people and get your name out there. As it turns out, George called me that Sunday and offered me the job to be Nike Global Camp Director. My admin, I hired an admin when I got the job, and she says, "You're a global camp director. You never leave the States." What?
Yeah, right.
So anyway, that job was amazing. I did it for almost 5 years, and my responsibilities were I ran a series of invitational camps for elite players across the country, the Kevin Durants, the Blake Griffiths of the world, so. And my job was basically to have these camps. It was initially the Nike All-American Camp. We would invite 220, 250 of the best high school players in the country, and my job was to invite those players, first and foremost, determine who the 250 kids were, hire staff, and we used to have this camp in Indianapolis. But the gist of what we were doing was just to try to pare down and get the elite players and build relationships with those players. So I would make trips. My first trip when I worked for Nike was to Washington, D.C., and was with Kevin Durant and his stepfather and his mother and his AAU coach. And we sit down at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and the bill came to like $800, and that was just my way of building a relationship with Kevin Durant.
Right.
But I guess the majority of what I did was running the camps, and we ran the Hoop Jamboree. You guys both went to they called it the Elite 100, I think, when you guys went there. At that time, it was called the Hoop Jamboree. And it's all about relationships, building relationships, and at the end of the day, we were just trying to identify the very best high school players in the country so that Nike could start the process of developing relationships with these elite players. And so that when Kevin Durant's ready to sign a shoe contract when he goes to the NBA from Texas, he has a relationship with Nike, and he may turn down $100 million and get $75 million,
and take
for
it with
Nike because of the relationship. So it's all about, it's all about relationships. I think everything we do is about relationships. So I think that gist of what I was doing was building a relationship with some of the best players in the country, and it was a fun gig. I was known as the Nike Man, which I'd walk in the gym and
Another nickname.
That's the Nike Man. That's the Nike Man.
Yeah.
And Matt Gaines will tell you. Matt was one of the guys I invited to my All-American camp.
Yep.
Yeah, and so. And by the way, Matt said he was so intimidated by me.
That's what he said. He told me the same thing. I was so scared of him.
So, and I didn't know that until I came here, ironically enough. So, at the orientation of camp, so you have the Nike All-American camp. We had in Indianapolis, what's the camp? It's IUPUI.
Yep.
That, by the way, they need to change their name. I shouldn't say that, please. I don't want to offend anybody without you. But anyway, so I have to give an orientation talk. And it's just like a teacher, the first impressions are lasting, and I think I come across in sometimes I can be very stoic, if you will, and I may I don't know, intimidated crap out of Matt. So when I got the job here, I talked to Mike Gaines and Matt comes in and Matt tells me how intimidated he was by me, and he was like, "Oh my God." I said, "So you didn't want me to come here? You didn't want me to coach here because you were so afraid of me?" He said, "No, but you gave that talk, and then, everybody said, that's the Nike guy, and that's Coach Dillard, blah, blah, blah." Yeah. And you have to be careful how you project.
Right.
Think about that, how people see you, because you can't get outside of yourself and see yourself.
Yeah.
And so, but I think in my eagerness to try to take control of 250 kids at a camp, I come across like the do's and don'ts. Mm-hmm. Do not cross the street. Go to bed. If I catch you such and such, I'm sending you home. So I think I was so stern at that time, and it intimidated and scared the crap out of Matt Gaines. But all in all, it was a great experience. I loved it. I was rubbing shoulders with some high rollers and all former NBA players, Blake Griffin, those guys. Got to travel the world, United States, not globally. And it was a really fun gig. But at the end of the day, I was a coach at heart. Yeah. So with Nike, I wasn't coaching. I was planning. I was the director. I was doing logistics for where we're going to have our next camp and hotels and working on the budget and how much money. We'd spent $2 million on the LeBron James Skills Academy, and I had to figure out how to spend that $2 million or whatever it was.
Sure, that was hard.
No, we spent it quickly. We spent $50,000 on a banquet, the first orientation banquet for LeBron James camp. Yeah. It's just amazing. But Nike has money, so they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, they're gonna be all right.
$2 million for them is
drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
Where was I going with this now?
You were talking about all your.
You're a coach at heart, and that's
coach
what
at heart.
And we were going to ask you about that too. Yeah. Like you got, because you went from Nike and you come back and you Sherman leads you here, and
and people said, "What a great job." He's the Nike guy, and he's rubbing shoulders with LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. But what you miss out of coaching is and it sounds like a little dorky maybe, but a family atmosphere of, you have a team, you have your managers, you have your administrative staff, you have your fans, you come to the games, and, TV is big, but it's not the only thing. And I think I missed that part of it. I had an office in Dallas, and it was myself, and I had an admin. And there was probably about 30 other Nike employees that worked in an office. They were all into sales. They were trying to sell product. I was giving product away.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
You guys didn't get along.
We didn't get along. I was just giving product away. But I missed the competition. I missed being in the gym. And I was in the gym with the events, All-American Camp, the Hoop Jamboree in St. Louis. But I missed being on the floor and being in the gym. And it's nothing like a college experience. Mm-hmm. Like you guys are going through the best times of your life. I say that sincerely. You may not think it right now. You may think, gee whiz, I got to go to class. I got to get up. But when you got to enjoy and cherish these moments. It's the best of your life. And so I enjoy the college atmosphere. I enjoy, I have to say, it's football weekends. I enjoy that. I enjoy.
Ooh, I'm so excited for this weekend.
Yeah. So the college experience is what I missed when I was with Nike. And then I was fortunate enough, your father rescued me while I was in transition, quite frankly. Did he ever tell you how I met? Well, we met. I've known your father from, we go way back to our playing days. You know, when they call him White Magic. And I said, I can't wait to see this player. I don't know who he is, but they call him White Magic. He's got to be something. I said, because listen, if you come from Philadelphia and the brothers are calling you White Magic, boy, you got to be able to ball. and so that's when I first met Coach McCaffery, a friend, at College Park, Maryland, the University of Maryland's basketball camp. And we've known one another. I don't know if we were ever close during that time, but it's, you know, how basketball players get, how you have mutual respect for one another.
It's the same hustle.
Yeah, it is. And so here's a guy, 6'5", he's playing point guard, and he's a white guy, taking the ball between his legs, throwing behind his back passes and all of that stuff. I'm like, whoa, this dude can ball.
Yeah.
And I think I was a pretty decent player, and I think he had mutual, you know, so again, we had that mutual respect for one another. But when he got the job at Iowa, I had accepted a job in Dallas, working for the Super Bowl committee. The Super Bowl was going to be in Dallas at the time, and the chairman of the Super Bowl committee was Roger Staubach. And this is maybe
Pretty
a story
famous.
for another day, but so I have a friend of a friend, and it's not who you know, it's who knows you kind of thing like this. Well, anyway, I got
It's another skisism.
Yeah, no, there's a high school friend of mine that he's calling me. Unbeknownst to me, he's out of a job. He's like in transition too. And he's trying to help me get a job in Dallas. And he says, I know a minister there in Dallas that knows everybody. And he sets up an arrangement for me to go meet a guy at Starbucks. He's a minister. I sit down with him for 20 minutes. He says, he says, I'm going to put you in front of Roger Staubach.
Yeah.
And I'm
It's a
saying,
good guy to be in front of. Yeah.
really? He goes, yeah. He says, and I'll have Roger call you. He said, I'll have someone call you and set up a time you can meet Roger. And within a week, I'm sitting in front of Roger Staubach. And Roger Staubach now is the chairman of the Super Bowl committee. Yeah. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm pretty calm, and I've been in situations before where I could be intimidated. I've never been so intimidated in my life as I was in front of Roger Staubach. So I'm sitting there, and he's looking at me. You ever get somebody's looking at like they're looking through you?
Yeah.
And so Roger's like looking at me, and I'm talking. I'm giving my best spiel. I'm like trying to sell myself, you know. Yeah. And he's just sitting there looking at me, like, and staring through me. And I'm thinking, this is not going very well. Yeah. I'm like, this is not going well. So what happened was, after about 15 minutes, and I'm sweating, I'm like, and he goes, I want you to meet someone. So he stand up. He introduces me to his son. His son takes me on a tour. I come back. He says, well, you know what? I'm going to find you a job. Just like that. He says, all
right, Raj.
Yeah, Raj, like my man. So he was chairman of the board of a big commercial real estate company, Jones something Lassang. It was huge, like global. I went home and looked at it. Oh my goodness! But the big thing was the Super Bowl committee. So he gave me the job. I accepted the job. I'll do this. He said, Sherm, here's what you're going to do. It's just 1 year. The Super Bowl is going to be in Dallas. It was the year it was in Dallas. He says, and I'm going to give you a title like public relations. And what you'll do is you'll travel around the Metroplex and you'll meet mayors and city councilmen and business people as we get ready for the Super Bowl. He says it'll be a 1-year job. He says, and after that, he says, it's going to parlay that into you're going to get a job because you're going to rub shoulders with all these big-time people. So I said, great. I took the job. Then the Final Four comes up in Indianapolis, and so I'm sitting at home, and I'm thinking, well, I want to go to the Final Four because I missed going to the Final Four. I missed 1 year. So I decided to go to the Final Four. I walk in the Hyatt Regency lobby, and who the first person I saw when I first walked in the lobby was Fran McCaffery and Margaret McCaffery. Yeah. I'm not making this up. So I walk in there, and I walk up to Fran, and I say, hey, Fran, congratulations. I'd heard he got the job at Iowa. And he goes, hey, Sherman, he said, what are you doing? I says, well, I'm in transition. I'm looking for a job. I didn't tell him I had accepted a job with Roger Staubach. And he said, call me on Sunday. And I called him Sunday, and basically, for all intents and purposes, basically felt good about it. Yeah. I flew in, and Jerry Strong picked me up at the airport in his red van. You remember that van?
There you go.
Jerry picks me up, and I go through an interview with a screening committee, and I get the job at Iowa, and it's the best thing happened to me. Yeah. So I called, so the day, that was, when he offered me the job, when Fran offered me the job, that Monday, after I got back from here, I was supposed to show up for the job with the Super Bowl committee.
Yeah.
And so what do? What do Skis do? Skis put on a suit. I went to my office. They had a big-time office for me downtown Dallas. And I went in and tell them that I took the job at Iowa with Fran McCaffery. Didn't feel good about it, but then Roger said, he said, Sherm, you're a basketball coach.
Yeah.
He
understood.
You deserve to be in coaching.
Yeah.
He said, I was just trying to help you out and help you go through the transition. He said, but you deserve to be in college coaching. So that's how I ended up here. And Fran was nice enough to give me the gig, and I certainly hope I've done well here and helped him.
Yeah. And the rest is history.
Yeah, and the rest is history. So I'm here. I remember you guys coming on board. That's amazing. Like, to see the growth in both of you. Really, I know it sounds like, but you were little kids, and you guys were just eager and bright-eyed, and I have to say this right here in front of you. I admire the growth, not only in your basketball games, but in your maturity, your emotional maturity, the way you carry yourselves. Obviously, you took your games to a high level, but it's an impressive thing to see. It really is. And I remember when I first got here and you guys were young and you guys were playing AAU ball, and Fran and I would be on recruiting trips, and he'd be talking to your mother and about games and stuff like that. And I remember sharing this with Fran. I said, Fran, the toughest thing you'll ever go through is watching your sons play basketball.
Yeah.
At any level, it's the hardest thing you will ever have to go through. And you have to sit back and brace yourself, because sometimes it's not going to go the way you want it to, not because of what they're doing, because of what the outside world is doing, maybe the coach. And I don't know how you took that, but because I went through it with my son. Yeah. But to see you guys, again, evolve as men, and it's a great thing to see. It really is. And I guess I've been here 13 years now, I think. So you guys were how old when you first?
9.
9, yeah.
I was, sixth grade.
And, but credit to you for doing what you have to do to be where you are. Yeah. And you guys can both be very successful. And you guys deserve this opportunity because you guys are great at this. I think it's awesome. But you're great to coach. And you guys really are a vital part of this program.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Appreciate that, Coach.
Yeah, really appreciate that. And we knew, a lot of it is due to your tutelage, as some would say, and we definitely learned a lot from you. And we appreciate you coming on and doing this interview for one thing as well, because we've covered a lot of ground. We knew you would be. You were one that we knew we had to have. We'd be stories, and you were a big time request. Like we had to get this one done. So we appreciate you coming on.
I feel like I've arrived since I've been invited to the show. Like I've made it. But my life is complete.
Screw Roger Staubach.
Yeah,
he had to come on the pod.
Who's that guy?
Loser.
You got pictures of Michael Jordan and Kobe and LeBron in your office, but
absolutely,
you were scared of Roger Staubach.
The pod is where it's at.
No, the pod is great. I've been looking forward to this. It's a great. I've watched you guys with different guests. And I do. I have to. My hat's off to you.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
It seems like a natural for you two guys. I remember riding in the car with my two sons, Langston and Ben, and we went away, unfortunately, to a funeral, and they both sat in the back for some reason. Like I was driving Miss Daisy. I don't know why I was driving. In front.
Chauffeur. You're a chauffeur.
We were going from Atlanta to Montgomery, Alabama, and my mother-in-law had passed, and they sat in the back seat, and for an hour and a half, the two of them just went off on and on about certain topics. One of them was like the ladies, the Kardashians.
Oh yeah.
And I said to them after listening to them, because I couldn't have the music on or whatever. So after about 45 minutes, an hour, I said, you guys should have a podcast.
They should.
And then sure enough, you guys are doing this. But the things they were talking about, and they were going back and forth, and it wasn't just the superficial things about the Kardashians. It was about the business opportunities and how much money they were making. So they went into the deeper part of it. And I think there's a market for that. And you guys certainly do well at this. And I've listened to a lot of your podcasts. And my hat's off to you, both.
Well, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Skis.
Really appreciate that. Thank you again for joining us.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate you coming on. Being an athlete means pushing your body to its limits. At the Recenter, Coralville's all-new holistic wellness center, you can get back in the game much quicker. The Recenter offers a wide array of athletic recovery treatments such as IV therapy, mild hyperbaric chamber, oxygen therapy, infrared sauna, and Normatec compression therapy.
So whether you have a big game or marathon you're training for, or you're recovering from a tough workout, come to the Recenter to get rehydrated, refreshed, and recovered much quicker. Call 319-694-6086 to schedule an appointment. Student discounts are available.